Alright, the recipe for this is going to be 40 grams of black malt, 4.5 kilos of Vienna malt, 2.5 kilos of Pilsner, and I add a kilo of rice hulls just to make sure that the mash doesn't get stuck. So what we're going to do now is we're going to measure this stuff out. It might take a little while because we've got to measure it in bits. So first is the 40 grams of black malt, that's the black malt there. So we'll just measure that out. It's got a wonderful smell to it, black malt. 38, 40. So 40 grams. Now this is to make a 40 litre batch. I actually brew in double batches, so it's a lot more than your standard brew. So 40 grams across 40 litres doesn't go very far. Alright, the next we've got here is our Vienna, our Pilsner malt over here. And that's going to take 2.5 kilos. So that there is 1512, or 1.512. Alright. So it goes in, and then I need another 988 grams. Should be close. 917. 53, 67, 86, 87, 988 grams of Pilsner. And next is, just make that note there, next is Vienna, 4.5 kilos. That is 1.188. Is 1604, so 1.7 to go. $1.627, 81 grams left to go. Which won't be very much at all. What have we got there? 169, way too much. 105, oops. 77, need it. How much did we need? We need 81 grams, there we go, 82 is close enough. Right, so what we've got here is we've got all our grains weighed out, ready to go into the mill. That's it. Alright, this here is my mill arrangement. Here we've got a monster mill right there, powered by a Ford XD windshield wiper motor. If you come around that side here, you'll see the high technology. Those that own Ducatis will be very familiar with the pulley arrangement. XD motor and just simply a battery pack to drive it. So all I do now is dump our collection of grains in the top here into the hopper. Like that. Make sure we got it all. And then switch her on. And then right here you see the crush coming out. It's actually a very, very nice crush. Not too floury. Hulls aren't crushed too much. Maybe split in half. And that will just sit there and grind away. Takes about 10 or 15 minutes to get that totally milled up. Alright, what we've got here is we've got our weighed out and crushed grains. You can see here, this is all the crushed Pilsner, crushed Vienna, and a little bit of black malt. In here we've got our 1 kilo of rice hulls here. Contributes nothing to the mash per se, other than allowing the wort runnings to run nice and clear and easily, and it prevents what's called a stuck mash. and a stuck sparge. So these are almost ready to toss into the hot liquor. Alright, you can see here, and you can probably hear in the background, you can hear the March pump running, which is circulating the water through the heater element, and it's getting up to temperature now. Currently it's sitting at about 153 degrees Fahrenheit. I use Fahrenheit for my mash program just because it gives a bit more granularity on the temperatures. 153, I need it to be about 160 degrees Fahrenheit for the strike temperature. When I add the grains, that'll drop back pretty much automatically because the grains are cold, the water's hot. It'll drop back to about 146 to 150 degrees Fahrenheit. Mash program is set to be 150 degrees Fahrenheit for 60 minutes, and that should convert all the starches and proteins and whatever to sugar. So pretty close. We'll come back when I do the dough in. All right, mash water is all ready to go. Got my trusty stirring spoon right here. Gets all the way to the bottom of the tun. Just going to start doing what they call the dough in, and the dough in is the method of adding the grist, which is the crushed up grains, into the mash tun. What you've got to do is you've got to try and stir it a little bit as it goes in, just to make sure it doesn't form any what's called a dough ball, which is a ball of dried crushed grain. Because if you form dough balls, what happens is you can't extract the sugars out of them, so it's just wasted grain essentially. So I mash at a fairly high water to grain ratio. I use about 2.7 litres of water to every kilogram of grain. That gives me a fairly thin mash. Everyone's different. I personally believe that it provides a better extraction, and it makes sparging a little bit easier because I've already watered down a lot of the sugars already. So you can extract them easier at sparge. But everyone, like I said, everyone's different. Everyone's got their own method, you know. I think someone on one of the websites I went to, or that I belong to, his quote was something along the line of 4,000 brewers, 4,000 ways of doing something. And I totally believe in that. Everyone has their own methodology. Everyone does their brewing the way that they like to do it. I have my ways, I have my habits. Not all of them good, of course. I don't think anyone can profess to having totally good habits. Now mixing in the rice hulls. Doesn't matter so much with the rice hull whether a dough ball forms. I don't really care that much. The rice hull's main purpose is just to spread the grains out a little bit in the liquid. Just makes for an easier mash. Certainly makes for an easier runoff at the end of the brew process. It's looking here like I don't really have enough water in my mash tun. Maybe my calculations weren't quite up to par today. There we go, it's coming together now. Looking a lot better. So now that we've got that doughed in, what I'll do is I'll grab the camera, so excuse me for a second. We'll bring you over and get the bloody camera lid out of the way. And you can see there the mash. See the steam coming up from it. You can see the liquid there. Sorry for the fogged up camera. But pretty much that's where we're at. I'll start my, put my recirculation arm back in, put my temperature probe back in, turn the pump back on, start the circulation process, making sure that I'm circulating at a reasonably good rate, and then go back to my computer program. And then we'll start the whole process off. She'll now sit in here for an hour or so. Just scratch all the malt and the rice hulls off the side of the mash tun here. Make sure that it's all nicely circulating. It looks pretty good. It's all nicely underwater. And excellent, there you have it. We've done our dough in and we've started our mash recirculation happening. This system is a RIMS system, which stands for Recirculating Infusion Mash. We'll see how we go. We'll set a timer here for 15 minutes, and what I'll do in 15 minutes time is I'll come back and I'll give this all a stir, get it off the bottom, recirculate some of the grains around, try and free up some more of their sugars inside the little husks and hulls, and we should be right to go.